X-Force issue 14. And just like how we talked about with X-Factor issue 39, how I was saying that's kind of a slept-on key issue because it expounds upon Cyclops' origins, tying him to Mr. Sinister and the backstory on Madeline Pryor. I do feel that this issue of X-Force is also one of those kind of, it's not huge, like, oh my God, this is the first appearance, or this is the 1/1,000,000th of a 9.1 variant exclusive Midtown Comics imported from Russia variant cover. Nothing like that. This is the issue where X-Force is deemed outlaws. Because if you think about going back over when we went over the Extinction Agenda and whatnot, and they were still deemed, I believe, New Mutants at that point, but the New Mutants, X-Factor, X-Force, they all worked together. And then when we went over the Executioner song, and I think part of Fatal Attraction, the team, like X-Force and X-Factor, were hunting down X-Force. And not because just of what Strife did to, what's the word I'm looking for, frame Cable, but because they attacked, well, we haven't got into it. I almost got ahead of myself. Let's dive into this. But anyway, this is the book that established them being outlaws. Now, the, what's the name of that freaking place that they used to hang out? The Adirondack Mountains or whatever it's called. It's been destroyed. Everyone's kind of scattered to the winds. Cable has just found out that Domino has betrayed them to Tolliver. And I just love how it says payback. And we open up and I mean, look at this panel. I mean, yeah, I could sit there and go, oh, this cover is so amazing. But look at the way we open this up. Cable holding on for dear life, being drenched by this waterfall. Domino passed out in his arms. So this is Fabian Nicieza, writer. Terry Shoemaker, guest pencils. Al Milgrom, guest inks. Chris Yiannopoulos doing the lettering. And Kevin Tinsley, colorist. Print date on this was September 1992. Now, I want to point something out over against the review that we did yesterday over the Amory Wars. 1992. And this isn't even Rob Liefeld. This is Terry Shoemaker. Look at how dynamic both the cover, and when you open it up, you feel that sense of intensity of what's going on. But we went over Amory Wars issue number 1 yesterday. Now, it's not about the cover's not bad. Like, that's kind of what drew me. And of course, and one thing I forgot to say in the review yesterday was this was by request of one of our community members, James. So thanks for suggesting it, buddy. I'm really going to work to get through this. But anyway, what I want to do here real quick, we're going to go on an antidote. You guys know how much I love it. This is issue 14. 14 issues in. I mean, we all know who the New Mutants are, but this is basically a new iteration of the characters that we know. 14 issues in, and you'd think that this book would start to slow down, which it did not, and hasn't really. Look at this. And then this is issue 1. Cover is nice, but then look at this flat, boring art we're presented with. 2008, 1992. Come on now. And you would think some 10 years later, with having digital coloring and whatnot, Photoshop and Illustrator, that it would trump this, and it still doesn't. That's why a lot of us still say that we miss traditional comic book art, because it is becoming a lost talent. When you see some frumpy, who's supposed to be the antagonist, just no. Oh yeah. Now with that said, rant aside, got all my spicy saltiness out. His name is Cable. He is a walking enigma. A man at a time, both literally and figuratively. A man quite tired of towing the line between justice and vengeance. 7 minutes ago, the upstate New York Adirondack Mountain bunker of the mutant strike force called X-Force exploded. 2 minutes ago, debris began flowing down this waterfall 3 miles away. Now the only thing left are the survivors, which leads into doom, doom. Great way to open a book. And just like how I always say that when you're new to comics, when it's your first issue, you should have some inkling of what's going on. Now, obviously this isn't saying like previously in X-Force and gives you like a paragraph. It's enough to say, okay, I don't know what the Atarac Mountains is, but apparently this was a bunker for X-Force, and something's happened and why he's holding Domino. And it's going to make you want to go back and read issues 10, 11, 12, and 13, and the next issues coming out. And look at that. Beautiful color work, line arts. Absolutely delicious. And that means someone as good as dead. Tolliver, you're going to die for forcing Domino to betray us, for overriding the explosive charges we set in the bunker, for killing my entire unit, all my soldiers, Sam, Tabitha, James, gone, dead, all because of you. You're going to pay for this, Tolliver, and you're going to die. And so obviously, comics heroes don't die for the most part, or they come back. But Cable doesn't know that, which causes a nice little drama. And these characters, Kane and what's this guy's name? I can never remember it. But anyway, him, and then Grizzly, they were part of Cable's, oh God, what was it called? The 6-pack or 7-pack or whatever it was. And they feel like Cable has betrayed them. And so they came to infiltrate and take down X-Force, but now it's the team saving them. And at this point, Richter thinks that Cable has killed his father. And so he's joined Kane and all these others to try to eliminate Cable for that reason. But of course, Richter, and what makes that such a dramatic thing is because Richter was, as we went into the early X-Factor years, he was part of the New Mutants with Tabitha and Sam. So having one of their own kind of go against them, you could feel the hurt. Richter's out. Grizzly, the Furball, and the Tiger Stripe Creep are missing. Bridge, that's his name. Bridge and Kane are barely in it as well. I'm still in enough to win, Siren. X-Force, surrender now. I don't think so, Kane. You wanted Cable, well, he's not here. Maybe he didn't survive the blast the way we did. You're all accomplices to his crimes. And that makes us felons, eh? Watch as we become escaped felons, my friend. And we're taking Richter with us. I can't let you do that, girl. And what are you going to do to stop us? Ask my friends for a little help. So at this point, it is X-Force versus S.H.I.E.L.D. X-Force, do not resist. You are under arrest. And why this is happening, there's this guy. We've gone over the issue that he's introduced it. I cannot remember his name, but he is an external. He is watching Sam. Keep that in mind because I've talked about this in several X-Men and X-Factor and New Mutant reviews where what Nicieza and I think Liefeld to a degree were trying to build up at this point. I wish that they would have went forward with it. It would have been a great way to elevate Sam Gerthy like they did with Danny when she became a Valkyrie. If this Cable is dead, that leaves the child, external Gerthy, unprotected, doesn't it? It's an easier task than for Cruel to pick the ripe little cherry from the tree of eternity and cut its newborn branches down. And he's a little crazy. Now, Cable gets into Trask's underground bunker. And in the battle with X-Force and S.H.I.E.L.D., look at this. Back in the Atarax. I can't take this. The Constitution resistance, right? Got that right, Jimmy. Watch this one fly. And so at this point, with them thinking Cable's dead, Sam has stepped up to be the leader of X-Force. And remember, as we went over the old New Mutants, even though him and Danny were co-leaders, he always questioned himself. And now we see Sam, having Cable as a mentor, finally come into his own and is able to successfully lead the team. They eventually hijack S.H.I.E.L.D.'s ship, and Richter even says, now that Cable's out of the picture, I'm back with my friends, and turns his back on Bridge and Kane. And this is where X-Force officially becomes outlaws. Because X-Men, X-Force, or X-Factor, everyone wants to bring them in. And just like in true Chris Claremont, old school Make My Marvel style, Jimmy says, let's use, there's an antidote, and that's what I'll get on that part. But here, Jimmy says, okay, well, the Atarax are destroyed. Where can we go that we can lay low? Jimmy says, well, why don't we go to my reservation? Tabitha says, well, isn't that place supposed to be like haunted or cursed? And he's like, yeah, that's like the best place because no one will think to look for us there. And so that's how they end up in the desert wastelands. But then it says, meanwhile, at an Orphan Industries Research Facility in New Mexico. We see that Robert DaCosta is being tortured. I don't know if the subject can stand the solar absorption for much longer, eh? I'm well aware of that, Dr. Lee. Can you agree that we should not proceed to stage 2? I agree we should not. But who's going to tell Gideon? Are you? And so Gideon eventually groomed Bobby away from X-Force because his father had dealings with Gideon. And Gideon's, along with, oh God, what's the blonde female's name? That's the external that used the Thieves Guild and the Assassins Guild. Sandra or something like that. But anyway, they're like the two cruelest of the externals, along with the one that joins the Hellfire Club. I can't remember her name. Celine. They're all pretty bad. But it would have been interesting to see Sam kind of become part of that and see what he could have done with them. But anyway, beautiful artwork. Lots of action. I'm trying not to give too much away, guys, because as the book comes to an end, even though the guys are going to make an escape to Jimmy's reservation, it says, I have come back for the boy High Lord. Samuel Girthy, prepare to have your branches severed. Prepare to learn that even an immortal can die. And then spoilers as the book comes to a close. Domino's trying to apologize furiously to Cable. But he's like, wait, Domino? Cable. About time. Tom, is that really you? Then who's... I didn't know Cable. They told me she was dead. But then we see a particularly familiar-looking dialogue box. Tell them time and time again, keep your mouth shut. Now I wonder who could that be? Well, guys, if you want to know, X-Force issue 14. Whole lot going on here because we have Sam being set up with the external line. We have two Dominoes. Who's the fake? We have X-Force on the run. Sam stepping up as a leader. That's why I said this is another one of those slept on key issues, just because, like I said, it's not one of those 1/1,000,000th of a thousandth of a nth degree of a imported double deluxe bootleg variant or a first appearance, blah, 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 blah. In terms of just continuity and X-Men mythos, this is one that you definitely want to have in your collection. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever's like to get your action figures and comics and grab this issue. Not a collected trade, this single floppy, because you want to have this in your long box. And if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate taking a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you want to hit that fancy little external bell next to subscribe, that was your typical content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you, hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.